Is the crypto market in a full recovery right now, or is this just a bull trap to get our hopes up, but to have things kind of come falling down later? That's what I would like to explore today. Welcome to Crypto Simulation Theory. I'm the Gaussian Snake. Nothing that I tell you in this video is to be considered financial advice. And while we're at it, be sure to join my free Telegram group, the Snake Pit, for more chart analyses, market updates, and things like this. Looking forward to seeing you there, but let's get started. Now we can see that Bitcoin has been showing some strength lately. It actually bounced off the 53K level, and it looked like it might have been in a rising wedge, but it ended up going all the way up to where it currently sits just beneath this yellow line, which I'm watching very closely, which is around 60, just around say around 63K. It has had 4 green candles in a row. It's quite impressive, a very, very impressive recovery. Not my base case. I thought we'd be coming down a little bit lower, so I was absolutely wrong about that. But that's okay. So I am a little bit skeptical that Bitcoin can get above this yellow line. There's a lot of resistance there. That's a previous breakdown point. So let's take a look at some of the technicals and see if my concern is warranted. And this is just going to be another lower high, or if we might actually take out this previous high. And if that happens, then that breaks the trend, that breaks the downtrend, especially if we retest and go higher. So we're looking for, daily closes around there. Let's take a look at what some of the other technicals are saying, and we'll start with the Gunnar EMA. So if we look at the Gunnar EMA, you can see that we are actually starting to make our way towards a bullish cross. We have not had a bullish cross on the Gunnar EMA on the daily since Friday, May 17th. So it's been almost 2 months that we've been that we have since we've had a bullish cross. The bearish cross happened on June 15th. So about a month later, could we be entering into a bullish cross? It looks possible, especially if this band can close. If we look at the Gaussian channel, we can see that our Gaussian channel did flip red yet again for the second time in a few months. And we are coming up to approaching that right, or actually we just barely approached the bottom of the channel. And we did face a little bit of a rejection there today. Now we'll have to see what Monday looks like, if this is going to open up and blast through it, or if we're going to head back down. This is certainly a very bullish looking formation, though, just kind of, it's just staring at it. And we could also look at some whole moving averages. I'm going to turn on a few of those, remove the Gaussian. We'll put on a few of our favorite whole moving averages. So I want to put the 20 as well. And you can see that we just had a golden cross of the 20 with the 50. You can see these are starting to inflect. The 50 starting to inflect back to concave up. The 100s kind of looks like it's a little bit flat, but not flat, but like it hasn't quite inflected just yet, or if it's in the process of inflecting. So it is encouraging that we've gotten above all these moving averages. And again, these are the whole moving averages, which basically are more current moving averages than the simple moving averages. So it looks like the 200 sits at around 65K. So that would be sort of our next line in the sand. If we can defend the current level we're at, get past this yellow line, that could be really good news for Bitcoin. The weighted Bollinger Bands are looking pretty good. Looks like we fell outside of the Bollinger Band, and now you can see the median line starting to turn back up. So I like what I'm seeing there. Again, this is on the daily time frame. So will this red zone be breached that I've been talking about for so long and that we haven't really seen since February? Is that going to happen? And if so, how? I think we need to look under the hood at Bitcoin and see kind of what's going on there. And then we'll look at some other things too, like Bitcoin dominance. We'll talk briefly about altcoins just to give you a full market update. But obviously everything depends on what Bitcoin does first. Current Bitcoin risk on the daily sits at 43.18. You can see that zero risk is now at 30,000 and 100 risk is at about 165.5K. So this is good, because if Bitcoin does continue to move up, this is going to allow the risk levels to start to move up with it. If it moves down, then these of course would move down as well, as we've seen it do in this downtrend that we just had. So where are we going from here? Let's look again. Let's look a little bit under the hood. So on the 2-week price momentum oscillator, something we looked at quite a few times, noting that we hit levels not seen since 2013. If I zoom out here, you can see we haven't gotten this high since 2013. And in 2013, we had to drop down to about where we're at now. made this W-shaped pattern and came back up one final time. I mean, I don't think history is going to repeat itself in exactly the same way, but it looks like we are forming some kind of bullish divergence on the 2-week price momentum oscillator. And that's not totally unexpected after such a big drop like this. You can see past times when you've had big drops, there's usually some bullish divergence that occurred even on the way down to this low. So could we see something like what we saw here, where we get a little relief period of bullish divergence, but then maybe in August we take a drop? See, my base case was that we would drop in July and then rally in August, but now it's kind of hard to say that because we have this coming back up, but the signal line is still red. And we know that anytime the price momentum oscillator has been above 85 or 80 level, we've had to come down in a sustained way. And we've had a red momentum for a little while. Even in 2013, it lasted for months. So I would think that we would probably repeat what's happened in history, and we would get an extension of the red signal line for a little bit longer, which means there's more downside in the future. But when would that occur? Would that occur next week? Would it occur a month from now? Hard to tell just from this indicator alone. We need to look at other indicators for confluence. Here's something to pay attention to. This is the Snabble RSI on the weekly. What a bounce we had off the 20 level. This is not unusual to bounce at this level. But what I want you to notice is that the moving average line of the Snabble RSI is currently in a head and shoulders pattern right at the neckline. So are we going to see a sustained reversal from here? I mean, to be quite honest with you, it doesn't look like it. I would like to think that we would, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like the most likely path here is probably a rejection and then to get sent back down. I really hate to sound bearish like that because often when you do hit the 20 level, you get a pretty nice reversal. I mean, or below it here, it took us into a really huge reversal. It's not a level that we've hit often, but I just have trouble seeing this trend turn bullish. But of course, it could come right back around here. I mean, the average line is around the 53 line, so I'm still thinking that we've got some bearish price action ahead of us. I don't know that it will happen this next week. It could be August. It could even be September on probable rate cuts or sometime in between now and then. I know it's not exactly what you want to hear. I'm not saying, I'm saying, well, could go up, could go down, right? Like all YouTube influencers. But this was a pretty steep route down. I wouldn't be surprised to see some relief. But you got like the head, the shoulder here, the shoulder there, and now, like I said, we've gone pretty far down. So are we going to, actually the neckline's up here. Are we going to reverse and have some divergence? I can't tell you off of this chart alone. I mean, we have bullish divergence right now, but will it continue? We need to look at some more stuff to figure that out. Not off this one indicator. No way we can do that. Note that the MACD, or moving average convergence divergence, did print a pretty nice light pink bar this week. And we can see in the past that that's not a guarantee that we keep printing light pink. But we did kind of alternate between red and light pink in the beginning of this downtrend. And so, if you look at past history, it wouldn't be unusual at all to see this light pink start to continue, meaning that we see some kind of reversion here, or some kind of divergence again that's bullish, to maybe put in like a lower high or something on the MACD, or possibly a higher high. Like I'm just not sure though, like what would bring a higher high for Bitcoin at this point, especially because we don't have rate cuts yet. So there's just a part of me thinking that this is going to be an extension, a continuation of the bull flag that will print some kind of lower high for Bitcoin and then just kind of come back down again, maybe to test near this red zone one last time. I don't know that we'll make it down to the red zone, but even somewhere near it could happen. But yeah, I mean, off of this is just saying, okay, well, we're starting to reverse now. I'm using a different screen recording software because my main software kind of crashed on me. So bear with me. Things are not going as smoothly as they usually do. Well, if we really are to take out this downtrend, then we would have to get above the parabolic SAR. Right now, that is around 69K. It probably will continue to kind of come down. But if we can get above 68 or 69K, then we're looking at a high probability of another parabolic leg up. We've been in a downtrend for quite some time. So, yeah, I mean, if this comes up in like blasts through and gets past 70K, I think there's actually a high chance we take out the all-time high and print a new one. But we're still beneath the yellow horizontal line, so it's way too early to call victory right here. We've got a lot of work. Now here's something really interesting and fascinating, actually. I wasn't even aware of this till just now, but we just put a double bottom in on the money flow index oscillator volume profile on the weekly. And I want to show you how rare an event like this is by going back in history. You can see that a double bottom like this has not occurred. Well, even bottoming, even hitting the red line has only happened a few times before. It happened in July where we went beneath it of 2022. Monitor out of the way. And then before that, all the way in 2014, it's been such a long time since we've hit this red boundary. So that is interesting. And that actually increases the odds that this may be a sustainable reversal that's going on right now. We're in a place of high volume as well. So this is a huge point for the bulls. This would catch a lot of people off guard too. But we actually hit maximum oversold on the money flow index oscillator volume profile. Like I said, that's not something that happens often. The fact that when we did this fairly recently, it looks like we hit it first in June, had a bounce, and then came back down just a few days ago, and then had a nice bounce up. So this was a really steep route down. So I think there's a good chance that we see some follow through with this uptrend. I mean, honestly, this uptrend could potentially last all the way through rate cuts. And then at that point, historically, you see a drop in the markets. If rate cuts do happen, that's what we would expect to see. But we could be in an uptrend all the way until then, especially considering how oversold things got. And I don't think it's likely to come down for a triple bottom. I just don't. The wave trend oscillator has printed a double bottom as well. These green dots don't get printed often. Again, this is on the daily time frame. This corresponds very similar to the oscillator volume profile for MFI. The last time we had a green dot was in August of 2023. And you have to go back quite a ways to see this separation. Often after that green dot, it was an uptrend for quite some time. So I think if we look at history, let's zoom in on this chart, what you'll see, I mean, these green dots can certainly cluster at times. This happened in 2021. We had, because this is the daily time frame. We should move to like a higher time frame. Let's move to maybe the 5-day, and you can see that we haven't hit the green zone at all on the 5-day, which does make me wonder how much, again, this head and shoulders pattern right here, and it's making me think we're going to get some relief, but then we're going to come back down. And I think that would be on rate cuts. So I think we are likely to see some sustained reversal here that could last very well into August. This is what a lot of these indicators are starting to tell me as I'm looking through them. But then probably, like I said, in September, I just, this head and shoulders pattern it's already played out quite a bit, but I think we'll get another plunge, possibly all the way down here into the dark green, or into the light green. Actually, dark is on top, so dark green before we see a more material reversal and maybe a sustained move back to the upside. I think we're actually in a downtrend right now with wave momentum. So again, a point for the bulls. I think it's going to be probably a great second half of the month, and August probably will look good too. But yeah, I'm seeing a little bit of green print here. So impossible to know how much follow through we see. We go to the weekly, which is just a little more than the 5-day. We haven't even printed any green yet. We're still in the red, but we're starting to curl back around. So look at that clean head and shoulders. Wow. Yeah, so I have to think we're going to come back down at some point relatively soon, even if we get a sustained relief rally in the meantime. I am going to do a little bit of a dubious fib analysis. This is very dubious, so bear with me. I'm going to take the swing high of our all-time high of just under 74K, and swing low will be 53.3K. I mean, it is reasonable to think that this could at least serve as a macro low for a while. So this would be the 236. We just kind of like blasted right through it this past week, and now we're butting right up against the 0.5. I anticipate, usually the 618 provides some resistance. This could be an area of potential resistance that we hit to begin our journey back down. I don't know though. Like, I I don't, because here's the thing, like what's going to send us back down at this point? Like we've just seen a reversal. So I really have to let go of my confirmation bias. I feel like I have this like confirmation bias that is getting in my way of just thinking price has to come down here, but it's actually not healthy if we come back up here and then go back down. So I think, the path of least resistance is at least to get to the 618. Maybe we have some trouble there, but maybe we, test some of these higher levels potentially. And remember the parabolic SAR, well, I don't know what it is for the weekly. I think we looked at it on, no, we did look at it on the weekly. Yeah, not the daily. So on the weekly, let's throw the SAR back on. So let's go parabolic SAR to see those dots. Yeah, you can see right here, around 70K is where you would have the downtrend unconfirmed, or not unconfirmed. You have the downtrend invalidated and you would have an uptrend. So yeah, I mean, this is not going the way that I thought it would go. I've been just wrong about this, having to go down to the 45 to 50K level. Because if we can see a move into August, we could potentially confirm a new uptrend and maybe test our previous high. It's hard to say. I just can't imagine on rate cuts though that we would see. Can't imagine that we would see something bullish happen right then and there. So maybe we see another drop, but maybe that drop is down here, which now holds a support. And and I'm not doing a path drawing tool because I'm going to really think through this. Sorry, this would occur more in September, not in August. I got the timelines a little messed up here. Let's extend this out. I don't know exactly how this is going to go or if this is going to go like this, but I just have to think that once we get that news about rate cuts, and it'll probably be a little bit early when the market reacts too, I have to think we're going to drop. I don't see a way out of it. Rate cuts have never been bullish right away. So maybe some kind of drop to like around here, that could happen. And then we could see a reversal. This is getting awfully creative. It is kind of messing with the bull flag structure a little bit. Normally you would see this a descending channel. But this is a pretty convincing local bottom, at least for now, on the weekly. So I don't think we're going to come straight back down. It looks like, from all the indicators I'm seeing, that some more upside is probably in order, but I think we do come down probably, like I said, on rate cuts, unless there's some other event that would cause us to come down that I can't think of right now. I gotta admit, Bitcoin dominance, we're looking at it on the weekly, it looks horrible. It doesn't look good. We've got Bitcoin price going up and dominance is kind of flat and looks like it wants to head down. As far as whole moving averages go, we had a death cross back on December 18th of the 50 with the 100-week HMA. And we've been pretty much like stuck in that bearish pattern ever since, even though we've had some spikes from dominance, and dominance could continue to have these. But, the Gaussian channel inflected around that time too to concave down. It's fattening. What happens when what does that mean? Well, last time that happened, that was pretty much all she wrote. I think dominance, it does make sense in a way. If Bitcoin price keeps going up, dominance is probably going to go down. Altcoin season could start a little bit early. Now, maybe dominance has some little spikes along the way. But I'm just talking on the whole. Like, dominance doesn't have much life left in it. And I think that the longest this could stay in the bullish zone for is probably, honestly, rate cuts, September. It almost looks like it's destined to happen. So if I turn off these whole moving averages and put on the Gunnar EMA, you can see that we are really starting to test the lower boundary of the weekly Gunnar. This is going to trigger a bearish cross if we go much lower. So if dominance starts to head down into like the low 50s, that's it, guys. Like, dominance is pretty much done. Now, so would this happen on a Bitcoin pump? I guess that's what the odds are, right? A Bitcoin pump is probably going to send dominance down. And that would be very, very bullish for altcoins. We're already seeing altcoins start to wake up somewhat. So like I could show you the altcoin season index and you'll see like that altcoin season had like this sudden resurgence, not altcoin season, but the index had this sudden resurgence recently of power for altcoins. We were deep in Bitcoin season and just kind of like blasted out of it. Yeah, let me show you that. So I want to show you something on the altcoin season index. While it is not altcoin season, I want to show you this really impressive move that we had. So we went deep into the depths of Bitcoin season. And on June 20th, we started to actually crawl our way out of it. And we're now in no man's land. We did come back and retrace a little bit, but we put in a higher high. This is something that we should not ignore. We did put in a higher high of 47. We've dropped beneath that now, but honestly, the bottom for Bitcoin season might already be in, and we could be starting the transition period heading into altcoin season. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not going to dip down again, but it just means that maybe the worst of this is over. And if we do see a drop, it should be swift and quick. Usually the rate cut drops are swift and quick and over with. They can be V-shaped, so let's take a look briefly at total 3 minus USDT divided by Bitcoin and others dominance to get some kind of idea of what might be going on, and take a look at ETH Bitcoin, and then I think we'll call it a wrap. This is total 3 minus stable coins divided by Bitcoin, or basically altcoin market versus Bitcoin. You can see we had a bearish cross occur in March. All right, and this was a bullish cross followed by a bearish cross like right away. Very choppy in this region, and then we've gone on to put in a lower low on June 17th, and then we've come up. We are approaching the lower boundary of an expanding bearish Gunnar EMA, but I don't think we're going to see too much more bearishness to the Gaussian channel. The Gaussian channel had this clean inflection. It's now looking like it wants to flatten out, do the exact opposite of what Bitcoin dominance is doing. I mean, this almost looks like an upside down Bitcoin dominance. Might as well be. And I could easily see this inflecting, and maybe we start to creep up towards it. And then on rate cuts, we get we could even get above it. And then on rate cuts, we have another sudden drop or something like that, and then come back up for an altcoin season. I think altcoin season is going to be occurring in Q4 of this year. And I think you'll see some altcoins start to wake up now, and maybe you'll get, a chance to accumulate some more. But I think most of the accumulation was here. So if you don't have altcoin positions, not financial advice, but you should probably consider getting some before the train leaves without you, because I think that's likely to happen. Let's look at others dominance. Okay, so others dominance. Yeah, you can see we have a green Gaussian channel that's starting to fatten out and actually inflected a little bit. It's not unusual for that to happen in the green Gaussian. We are riding the bottom of it. Bearish cross on the Gunnar EMA. Now this could turn red. That would not be great. But if we look at the past as an indicator for what can happen, it can get kind of choppy in here for a little while, but it didn't turn red, right? It just stayed green. So we've actually never seen it turn red in the middle of a run. That doesn't mean that it can't happen for the first time here. But, with total 3 minus USDT divided by Bitcoin going up, this looks like it could have put in a macro higher low compared to the one back in June of 2023. So I would not be surprised to see this turn around and maybe have just a little bit of a struggle in the rate cuts and then blast off after there. Honestly, looking pretty bullish to me. ETH Bitcoin. Sorry, let's type that in better. ETH Bitcoin. Yeah, so this one's going to surprise me at how resilient Ethereum has been against Bitcoin. It's actually one of the things that's been eating into Bitcoin dominance. Now altcoins are starting to eat into it too. Could 0.045 have been the bottom? My base case was down here in this red zone, but I don't know. I mean, things are getting very interesting right now. I feel like we're building towards something. And yeah, I mean, the Gaussian channel has been red for quite some time, since May of 2023. We're over a year into it. Last time the Gaussian went red was September of 2018. And by the time we were at November of 2019, you can see if we zoom down here that we actually had a pretty nice pump, but then it came back down. I think that's probably likely to happen, where we could see this maybe pump a little bit, maybe come all the way up to 0.06, and then go through a rejection into rate cuts. And then I think, Ethereum should be strong for several years afterwards. It's tempting to think it can make its way down here, but the longer it takes, the less convinced I get that we will make it below here, and that I'm open-minded. I'm very open-minded to 0.045 being a significant bottom. So that's something that we should watch out for, just in case it happens. Or, well, happened, because it's already happened. But you know what I mean? Just in case we don't come back down to those levels again. So to conclude my thoughts, while I do not feel that we've seen the end of Bitcoin's downside, potential, I still think rate cuts are going to cause Bitcoin to go down. I feel like this reversal that's happening now will most likely be sustained. I think we will manage to break through 63K, stay above it, and continue onward, and possibly even make a new high for Bitcoin before rate cuts. Not sure about that, but I think it could happen. Okay. I was wrong. I will fully admit it about the red zone between 45 and 50K. The confirmation bias, folks. Like, I get this idea in my head that it's going to do that. And look, I won't consider myself wrong until we take out the all-time high at 73.8, K or wherever. Then I'll just say, yeah, that red zone was completely wrong, just like with the Bitcoin. But I'm feeling pretty bullish about Bitcoin right now after going through all these charts. I think it makes more sense to be bullish than to be bearish. So I'm going to go with that. If I'm wrong, so be it. I've been wrong about a lot of things. Bitcoin's a really hard one to predict and to read, but I have to go with this really impressive bottom that happened here. I've seen a lot of altcoins make bottoms like this too. Aerodrome is one, had a really impressive bottoming process of 40 cents. We actually called it on my channel while it was happening in my Telegram group. So yeah, I'm cautiously bullish on Bitcoin. Again, pulling up those whole moving averages. I like to watch these closely. I think this is weekly, right? So on the weekly, there's this potential for a death cross that I'm seeing happen, right? With the 50 and the 100. It almost happened once before in October, but it didn't. So maybe something similar plays out, because honestly, this upward price action will probably move this death cross back up again. So yeah, we could see the beginnings of another parabolic uptrend for Bitcoin in a couple months. I think the rest of July might just be recovery, and then into August might be more recovery. And yeah, don't be surprised if we retest the all-time high or come close. You just never know with Bitcoin, like what it's going to do. We need to get above this 100-week whole moving average, though. That's currently sitting around 66 point. We'll just say 66.5K. The 50 is sitting at 72.6K and coming down. So remember the parabolic SIR I told you about. So before we get too excited, let's see if Bitcoin can achieve these milestones and avoid getting a rejection. I mean, I don't mind if it gets like a small rejection and then fiddles around and then goes up. But we don't want to see anything too dramatic at this point, especially if we get above 64K. That's going to look really bad. If we were going to reverse, we'd want to do it now to maintain the structure of this, bull flag that's kind of forming. So, yeah, I'm bullish on Bitcoin heading into the week. I think it's going to be a good week for this asset. It's funny. I can analyze altcoins with a lot more ease than I can Bitcoin. Bitcoin is like the hardest thing for me to analyze, just because it can really trip you up sometimes. One last thing I want to look at is the Trix bubble. I remember actually calling this out a little while ago in one of my videos, and you can see that weekly Trix bubble is starting to curl up, and it's actually at levels in September where it curled up before. So there's just a lot of things to be bullish about right now, and to think that Bitcoin could have a pretty impressive end of July and August, and maybe even the beginning of September as well, depending on when the market prices and rate cuts, if the rate cuts do happen the way that I suspect that they will. Well, thank you for joining me in Crypto Simulation Theory, and I apologize. I'm going to be experimenting with a new setup with using different software to record these, which is why things got a little glitchy today, but just have some patience with me. I really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like and comment on the video. Let me know what you think Bitcoin is going to do tomorrow and into the week. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, because it's just not crystal clear to me. And then I would invite you, if you love talking about technical analysis and learning about charts, join my free Telegram group, the Snack Pit, and I would love to see you there. So this is the Gaussian Snick, and nothing here was financial advice. I look forward to seeing you again next time.